Welcome to RSG Insider, where we discuss issues facing local jurisdictions. I'm Tara Matthews, a principal at RSG, and I'm joined today by Alex Lawrence to discuss relocation. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Tara. Thanks for having me.
Maybe you can just start by giving a little brief description of your background and your experience.
Yeah, so I'm a senior associate at RSG. I've been with the firm for about 6 years now and been providing relocation services to our clients for about 5 of those years. I've led multiple commercial and residential relocation engagements for both public agencies and developers throughout the state.
What causes the need for relocation?
So California is built out. There's just very little vacant land available for development. So in order for jurisdictions to meet their RENA requirements as well as meet the needs of their communities, they're turning more to redeveloping properties with existing uses into higher density housing projects or public serving uses, which ultimately is causing displacement of the existing occupants of those properties.
And where do relocation requirements come from?
So when public agencies displace a household or a business, there are state or federal protections that require some form of relocation assistance be provided to the displaced occupants. There's federal relocation law that applies when federal funding is used to assist a project that causes displacement. And then similarly, there's state relocation law that applies when local or state funding is used to assist a project that will cause displacement.
So many layers of regulations, it sounds like.
Exactly. And then in addition to that, if a private developer displaces a residential tenant, California has additional laws that protect those tenants. There's the Housing Crisis Act, the Tenant Protections Act, the Density Bonus Law, as well as the Ellis Act, which all have some form of relocation assistance requirements to protect those tenants, even if no public assistance is provided to those projects.
Oh, wow. So it sounds like it affects a lot of different types of redevelopment projects if there's existing occupants there.
Yeah.
What type of relocation assistance is provided?
Residential relocation will typically include financial assistance such as moving and or rental assistance payments, as well as some form of counseling. But the relocation assistance will vary by law that applies. Business relocation will also include a financial package of some sort to assist with finding a replacement location, moving, or reestablishing the business in their new location.
What role does RSG play in relocation?
Yeah, RSG will provide the full array of relocation assistance to help meet legal requirements. So we'll help draft relocation cost estimates. We'll draft relocation plans and notices. We'll interview individuals being displaced to ensure that they know their rights as well as our understanding of the process. We'll also help process relocation claims to ensure that compliance is documented and the claims are processed properly.
So it sounds really important, and there's a lot of contact with individuals who are being displaced from either their business or their home.
Yeah.
Um, in your experience, what are some of the greatest challenges with a relocation project?
So relocation can be a really delicate matter. We are sensitive to the fact that we are moving people from their homes or their businesses. So our services are based on establishing a strong relationship and by listening and being compassionate to these individuals' needs. Because our goal is to mitigate as much hardship as possible. And this compassion and communication has proven invaluable in these engagements. We also try to remember that the project that's causing displacement is going to serve the community, which helps kind of alleviate some of the sensitivity there.
I'm going to back up a little bit. We had talked a little bit about the rules and regulations and laws in place that basically require relocation. You listed off quite a few of them. How do you keep all of these laws straight and know which one applies in all of these various circumstances?
Yeah, so we know that every situation is unique. So we'll evaluate the details of each project to determine which relocations may be applicable. For example, we were recently approached by a developer who is redeveloping a 3-unit project into a more dense project and needed help understanding which relocation laws applied. So we looked at their situation and found that the Housing Crisis Act, the Tenant Protections Act, and density bonus law all could potentially apply to their project. So they ended up needing to collect existing tenant income to fully understand the extent of the applicable requirements, and we were able to help advise on that and get the process started for them.
Interesting. So even after you look at the laws and whatever the project is, and you can identify which ones may apply, there's still potentially more work to do to know exactly which set of regulations you have to follow.
Yeah, it can be very complex.
Interesting. Yeah. So, maybe this goes into my next question. How do all of these laws affect the actual redevelopment of a project?
Yeah, so all these overlapping laws that we've discussed really can add complexity to a project. You need that complexity combined with the information needed to determine what benefits that tenants are eligible for can be timely, it can be costly, and it can affect the bottom line of a redevelopment project. We understand this and can bring a unique value to the project because we work in housing at a broader level. We do rent stabilization work, we do underwriting, we do compliance monitoring, we have relationships with property managers throughout the state and understand development funding sources and development as a whole. So we apply that broader housing experience in our relocation jobs to ensure tenants are treated well while also having a positive effect on the project's bottom line.
And what helps a relocation project be successful?
Yeah, so planning, planning, and more planning. Planning is the first pivotal step that any developer or public agency needs to take. The developer or the local jurisdiction needs to first collect enough information to understand what legal relocation requirements will apply. And then once they understand those requirements, they can properly prepare for relocation, including understanding how much the relocation benefits will cost to ensure they have sufficiently budgeted for it.
So you kind of were mentioning this, concept of planning, planning, planning. I think I heard you say planning quite a bit. Maybe if you can talk about like how improper planning might derail a project and how important it is to keep that project moving forward.
Yeah, so we've seen developers start the relocation process without properly budgeting, and as a result, they had to pause their efforts to secure additional gap financing to proceed. We've also seen situations where the displaced individuals were not notified properly of their rights, and then later it caused procedural issues because they had to track down these individuals and ensure that the legal requirements were met.
Yeah, so very important topic to plan properly. Are there any other key elements to ensure successful relocation?
I mentioned this before, but we found that bringing compassion to the process is critical. We've received feedback from many individuals that we've helped that they're actually in a happier and better place than where they were prior to relocation. In some cases, folks have been able to actually buy a home with their relocation benefits, which is amazing, right? But we understand that having the grace in the moments where they're feeling uneasy about the process goes a really long way in building trust and easing their stress in that moment.
Well, thank you so much, Alex, for sharing all of your knowledge on relocation. And thank you for joining us today.